Hello everyone, this is part 30 of What If Naruto Failed and Chose a Different Path, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. When the travel back to Konoha came, Naruto found it was surprisingly peaceful, all things considered, with the completion of the mission. With Orochimaru temporarily defeated along with Kabuto and the Sound Five now in full retreat, it was only a matter of time before things came to a head later on. For now, home was the best place for him to be, with Sound being Konoha's #1 enemy, followed with Akatsuki coming after him and Gaara. From what Jiraiya could tell him from his contacts and spy network, the group consisted of 9 S-class missing ninja. All of whom, if Naruto recalled correctly, were considered to be prodigies or geniuses that were the best at the time when they left their respected villages. The group had originally consisted of having 10 members, with the last one being none other than the Snake Sannin. However, Orochimaru had left for unknown reasons and was nearly cared for it when he tried to leave the organization. Piccolo, being the calm of the group next to Naruto when hearing this, was always in his meditation-like form when they stopped on the days they traveled back to Konoha. The reason they got to Tsunade so quickly originally when they headed out from Konoha was because they were on time constraints, with the threat of not being able to reach her before Orochimaru. Now they weren't in a rush anymore, with the Cage of Sound no longer being a potential threat at the moment. This had given everyone ample breathing room to plan for the next threat that would pop up. However, that in itself was not the only thing to consider when you turned to look at someone like the Namek that was Piccolo, whose facial features seemed to make him appear to be edged of stone or granite. It amazed even Naruto that the warrior only needed water, a little sunlight, and on some occasions a little shade. It was almost like he was a walking plant or something. It was quite embarrassing when Jiraiya tried to introduce him to his Ica Ica Paradise series and the Namek destroyed the book with a single swipe. I don't need to read that crap. Nameks are a species that is consisted of an all-male populace, and we simply produce usually by producing eggs that we have come out of our mouth, said Piccolo. That made the 2 Sannin, the Sannin's assistant, and stunned one Kazama Uzumaki Naruto's jaw drop at such words. After hearing this, Jiraiya nearly screamed at him about how he could not enjoy the fruits of the female body. The end result earned him a hard backhand to his face before he was then hit in midair by Tsunade, sending him into the ground. The last thing she or anyone else around her need was to be filled with such images generated by the super pervert. When Naruto inquired as to his training would be like, Piccolo decided it was time to give the boy a skill assessment of his own to see how strong the boy was. According to Slade, he was by human and in some cases demon standards pretty strong, considering all of the teachers the boy has had. All right kid, before I can teach you anything I need to see how good you are, so it's going to be me and you in hand-to-hand combat, said Piccolo with his arms crossed over his chest, with Naruto getting into fighting stance several feet away. All right, here I come Piccolo-sensei, said Naruto, making Piccolo raise a invisible green eyebrow at the boy. Almost sounds like Gohan when he said that, thought Piccolo before Naruto sprung into action, deciding not to hold back too much in the ways of taijutsu, knowing this guy was much stronger than he gave him credit for. 1 minute Naruto was there and then he wasn't, with blinding speed, before reappearing behind Piccolo's head ready to knock it off with a good kick. The attack never connected, however, as the boy found his leg had been caught without much effort. Crap, he's that strong, thought Naruto, not seeing the Namek's smirk before he tossed Naruto over his head while the thrown boy maneuvered his body to land on his feet. Is that it? Slade speak highly of the training he's done with you. Now I'm beginning to suspect that he was only joking, said Piccolo, though inwardly he frowned as the boy's speed was something to admire and made him put effort into blocking the hit even if he didn't show it. I was just testing you, sensei. Didn't want to be disappointed in picking a teacher I could possibly kick the crap out of, said Naruto, going even faster in a more heads-on approach that made Piccolo smirk. Definitely has the Saiyan spirit when it comes to fighting, thought Piccolo as he started fighting back against Naruto with his own punches and kicks creating shockwaves when their fists hit each other. Dodging a kick to his head, Naruto leaped back for a better way to handle this situation in a tactical manner. However, Before he could think of something, he was forced to move nearly at top speed as the Namek shot chakra ball after chakra ball at him, exploding with shocking results. How is he doing that? Thought everyone, to shock to speak, as Naruto dodged one ball of chakra after another. Realizing that he could dodge the blast forever, Naruto went on the attack, now going at top speed, moving left and right so fast you thought he was invisible. Feeling a sense of wickedness in him, Piccolo attacked when Naruto got less than 4 feet in front of him with energy or chakra to his eyes and tried to hit him with it. As the Namek predicated, if Naruto didn't get hit then the boy would jump, but he didn't jump way up high as Gohan had done when he was training him. Instead, Naruto jumped over and behind Piccolo before spinning around to try and land a solid punch to his sensei's back. Piccolo was slightly surprised, though he didn't let it show as he moved quickly out of the way as the fist nearly had him. Enough. I've seen all that I need to see. You passed, kid, which means we'll start in teaching you several techniques that will help in your fighting, said Piccolo, holding up his hand telling Naruto to stop, which the boy complied. What techniques are they, Piccolo-sensei? Said Naruto, earning a small smile from the Namek, though whether it was for the boy's progress or the sensei suffix being added to his name, Piccolo wasn't sure. They are 2 of my most powerful attacks I created when I was originally alive many centuries if not millennia ago. Oh, Tsunade, Shizune, and Jiraiya, when they hear this, they are called the Special Beam Cannon, and the Scatter Shot, though I suppose you will call it something else considering you are not a Namek, said Piccolo, seeing the boy's eyes light up with such anticipation of learning something. Yep, he definitely has the spirit of a Saiyan in him, though from what Slade tells me he also has the stomach of one too, thought Piccolo, remembering the talk about Naruto and his personality, and Slade told him of how the boy eats ramen, reminding him of Goku in the way he would eat food before the start of the World Martial Arts Tournament. So what exactly do I do and how do I perform these techniques? Said Naruto, ready to get to work right away. First, before we do anything you have to learn a few things. One of them being that you and only you can use these attacks due to your unique condition. Nameks have a different wavelength of chakra than humans do, so no one has been able to do it unless they had Namekian blood in them. The reason behind you being able to do this is the Jaganai being the medium point for you when you channel chakra into it. Another is that for this attack you are going to intertwine both your chakra and slades into your fingertips of your right hand in front of your Jaganai. By doing this you can slice the chakra so it becomes stable and allows you control over the compressed power long enough to let it out. It will appear in a long spiraling javelin-like state made up of both chakra colors that will ell its opponents rather than blowing them up, though it would if you aim it at the ground, creating a huge explosion that would K if not CSPLE your targets, said Piccolo before doing the procedure naturally himself as a demonstration to Naruto so he would understand. Cool, said Naruto in awe as he stared at the powerful chakra now in the Namek's fingertips along with the others before he pointed at a large nearby rock structure. Special Beam Cannon, said Piccolo, firing at the rock formation, causing it to be turned to rubble, though there wasn't much of that either. Needless to say, everyone was speechless at the strength behind the attack, all the while wondering how so much chakra could be compressed into such a small form. It had easily made the Rasengan look like a multi-sized Akamaki in comparison to it. Wow, can I give it a try now? Said Naruto before earning a nod from Piccolo, who watched as Naruto tried to do the technique. You will have to give it a new name seeing as how yours is different compared to mine, as I explained a few minutes ago, said Piccolo, watching as Naruto focused both his chakra and Slade's demonic chakra into his index and middle finger while they were less than an inch away from the Jaganai. It was much more difficult than Naruto expected it to be, as it required much more chakra control than the Rasengan did. That was probably because it required a certain amount of human and demonic chakra, carefully channeled to a specific point that were in his 2 fingertips, and then made stable under the Jaganai's visional influence. It took a lot of mental power to even keep the damn thing in his hands without it possibly exploding in his face. After about a good 15 to 20 minutes, Naruto could sense the Jaganai had finally sliced the 2 chakras into something stable and aimed it to the left of him. Chakra Beam Cannon, said Naruto, firing the long-ranged attack, revealing it was blue-colored, surrounded by Slade's demonic reddish-orange chakra. The explosion was bigger than Piccolo anticipated, so he, like the others, had to shield his eyes slightly until after the blast cleared. I must say that was very impressive for the first try. You should train yourself in that attack before we do the next one, but only in the way of creating it. That way when you are able to do it in seconds rather than minutes it will be beneficial to you in the long run. However, let's get back to your village first before you even consider doing more damage to the area, said Piccolo, getting a nod from Naruto, who followed by an order as well as shocked Shizune, Jiraiya, and Tsunade. Not far from the group. Hey Itachi, who's the weird green guy? Said Kisame, watching the small group of very distinct powerhouses heading back to Konoha. Kisame, why do you think I know? If anything, this guy makes you look human, and since you are part shark, that says something, said Itachi, looking at the Namek with curiosity with his Sharingan eyes while sensing his chakra was different than what he's usually around. I don't know whether to be insulted or take that as a compliment, said Kisame with his eyebrow twitching at Itachi's remark. Come on, let's just get them already. Man, Itachi, who would have thought the vessel that belongs to you when captured could be such a pain in the ass to get, said Sasori, who finding it hard to believe that this kid was stronger than Itachi and Kisame. Not yet. Remember the leader's orders. Wait until the time is right, and only then, when the opportunity presents itself, we strike to capture the Kyuubi vessel, said Itachi, glaring at the man, making the Akatsuki member flinch when he saw it. Itachi, you are such a troublesome guy, said Kisame, laughing slightly, only to be hit in the ribs by the Sharingan user to shut him up, while mentally mumbling about needing some Pocky to calm his nerves down, seeing how he felt high-strung at the moment. In any case, when we do get to the border walls of the village, I need to enter Konoha by myself in disguise so I can continue my observations. Kisame, you will have to stay here and try to keep these two in line while I'm gone, said Itachi, making his way forward while the others looked at him slightly shocked, though it did make sense seeing as how Itachi knew more about Konoha than they did. What's that supposed to mean? Said Sasori, getting irritated by Itachi's words, but found it was pointless to retort as Itachi was now nowhere to be seen. Kohona. One day later. The group of Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizune, Piccolo, and Naruto, with Slade inside of him, walked up to the gates of Konoha. After the Chunin guards recognized all, but one being the Namek, the rest of the group would vouch for him as an ally, stating he helped in the fight against Orochimaru. Upon hearing that, who were the Chunin to argue with two Sannin and the son of the fourth Hokage himself? Especially since the fourth had been cleaning house on all those who had mistreated his son over the past decade, thought the Chunin, as they recalled some of their friends had been abducted by the Anbufa, questioning, in regards to the abuse of one Kazama Uzumaki Naruto. They had nothing to fear since 1, they were neutral in that regard with the boy, and 2, they hardly met the boy until now. With that being thought, the guards gave the order and ordered the gate open for them to enter. Well, so far so good considering the type of company I'm with, thought Naruto, as they all walked into Konoha, finding it seemed lighter with the traffic of people, but passed it off as his imagination. Naruto, I'm leaving the seal to see Kurenai. No doubt she misses me right now, a lot I might add, said Slade mentally to Naruto within the seal before he left it a second later. Damn, even Slade is becoming perverted. Though for him I think it's in a good way, thought Naruto, suppressing the urge to twitch his eyebrow, much to the amusement of Dragona, who found such thoughts to be humorous. You are one to talk, Naruto-kun. You have all those ladies of yours to see after meeting with your dad and spend time with them. Consider this a good vacation for you to get to know them better, said Dragona mentally to Naruto, making the poor boy blush up a small storm, slightly remembering he had so many women wanting to be with him. It was fortunate that he was beside Piccolo, who ignored it, and the three in front of him did not know about it or see it. If that super pervert Ero Senin and out off or Tsunade Barba-chan found out, they would continuously tease me. Meanwhile, Shizune would have most likely been cute about it, saying I must be quite the gentleman like my father is to attract so many women, thought Naruto, finding that the last thing he needed was for those three to make fun of his multi-women relationship when one was an open super pervert while the second was an all-around man-hitting anti-pervert old hat. Out of all three of them, he couldn't think up of anything bad about Shizune, but that was beside the point, as they had no reason to talk about his romance life or make fun of it when they had none. Hokage Tower 10 minutes later. The way to see the fourth Hokage, that was Naruto's father, was humorous to say the least, as people turned their heads to see the huge green warrior that was the Nankian Piccolo. Many, if not all, had never seen someone that tall before, and with green skin with pointy ears it made them want to physically shiver. Unfortunately, the humor turned to horror when one Meito guy and his student Rock Lee, wearing a Chunin vest, had exited the Hokage's office to meet the group and the Namek. Yosh. Behold this group of proud warriors and how this green one burns with the flames of youth. Look how his very skin is a reflection of our own clothing as he is green with envy. Yelled Guy while Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shizune, and Naruto barely suppressed the urge to just vomit on the spot. Actually this how my skin always looks, said Piccolo hoping that would shut him up while he resisted the urge to punch the larger of the two considering the yelling wasn't healthy for his ears. Yosh! Did you hear that guy sensei? An eternal flame of youth lives on in him. Sensei, we must show him that we can be just as green as him. Yelled Lee, much to Piccolo's dismay, finding it increasingly difficult not pound the two into dust, and even more when they started hugging and a waterfall appeared behind them, making it more disturbing for everyone. Must, not, will, void, contract, thought Piccolo while his chakra was coming off in waves, frying several electrical items including some of the lights around them. Not wanting to have his comrade and his comrade's sensei kid Naruto suggested they go train her until they were green all over right now. After a few more bits of yelling, the two ran off to follow Naruto's suggestion, making Piccolo calm down drastically, which in turn made everyone else relax too. Okay, now that the crazy people are gone we can go in and see my old man, said Naruto before the group entered the Hokage's office to see none other than Kazama Arashi. In front him and them sitting in a chair casually was none other than Uchiha Itachi, who upon seeing the group smiled and waved as if all was well. All was not well as Naruto scowled, his eyes narrowed, and he reached for his sword to slay the Uchiha clan destroyer. Uchiha Itachi, you have a lot of guts coming in here considering you're an enemy of Konoha, said Naruto, putting strength into his legs along with a good chunk of his chakra for enhanced speed as he went into the Gatetsu stance, knowing he had one shot to K the man without possibly king his father with it. Ah, hello son. It's good to see you again after such a long mission. I can already assume you met Itachi earlier on your travels to find Tsunade, said Arashi while staying at least in Naruto's mind perfectly calm in dealing with the Uchiha. Itachi, why are you here so soon? Is Akatsuki on the move again, or is there some new development that has happened? Said Jiraiya, making Naruto turn his head at the super perverted hermit, wondering what the hell was going on. By the look on your face, Naruto-san, no one told you, but I'm really a spy for Konoha to help fight Akatsuki, said Itachi, getting up slowly, putting his straw hat that was now in his hands on the table in front of the fourth. What about that sushi head looking guy? You know, kiss him. Is he a spy like you? Said a suspicious Naruto, wondering if he could actually trust anyone in this room considering what has been happening in his life. Yes, he is. In fact, Naruto, he and the other 7 swordsmen of the mist were betrayed by the Mizukage, not the other way around. However, at the time many people hated and feared the bloodline limits of its people. I think you should all sit down and hear why I did what I did, said Itachi, motioning them all to take a chair in the office and sit. Okay, but I don't think I'm going to like this, said Naruto, eyeing Itachi carefully, and waited to hear the man's words. Before I begin, Naruto-san, you must understand that I am not an evil person, and I never was one to begin with. I also never saw you as a monster, demon, or any other thing the villagers may have called you. In fact, the third had asked me to watch over you when you got your apartment to ensure your safety and until you were strong enough to defend yourself from those who would try to hurt you, said Itachi, trying to lay the groundwork of his explanation so Naruto would believe him. Yeah, I remember that. Some jerk-off tried to screw around with my apartment one day when I was coming home, and I saw someone with Sharingan eyes knocked him out for interrogation with a bicky, said Naruto, remembering how the bastard villager was trying to destroy what he held dear in his place, which was all the more reason to keep it hidden at the time. As you know, it stopped when you and my little brother Sasuke turned 8 years old, right before I started the M of my clan. This is where the story starts to get complicated, and you need to understand I did what I had to do not only for you, but for someone who is precious to me here in Konoha that I also care about, said Itachi, as he helped retell the events that lead to the M of his clan. Flashback 4 years ago, 2 weeks before the M. The Hokage-sama ordered you to do what? Said Uchiha Fugaku, who was Itachi and Sasuke's father and was also looking quite upset at the moment with his son behind close clan doors with his wife watching from the sides. Hokage-sama ordered me to watch over Uzumaki Naruto to protect him from the villagers and ninja here in Konoha, who might want to K him because of what he holds. I have been doing this for several years now, so I don't see what the problem is, said Itachi, not understanding why his father could hold this much hatred for a little boy like Naruto. You don't see. That boy is not a boy at all, Itachi. He's a demon in human form and must be killed before it can grow strong enough to destroy us like it did nearly a decade ago. I hereby order you as clan head not to protect the boy any longer from any and all ninja or villagers who wish to end the boy's life. In addition, I also punish you for doing such a thing by forbidding you from seeing that girl your clansmen have seen you with on more than one occasion. You are to be wed to an Uchiha, not some low-level wench of a food-serving girl like her, said Fugaku, his face and words full of hatred that made Itachi want to punch his father in hopes of killing such a form then and there. That's hardly if not fair at all, father. As a ninja of Konoha, I am duty-bound to serve the Hokage until by S-day. You can't expect me to just let some hate-filled bastard take my place because I'm actually doing my assigned job, said Itachi with his own anger showing. Meanwhile, Uchiha Mikoto just watched, looking at the two, wondering what her husband would do next. She personally never hated the boy and in fact had talked with Hikari on multiple occasions and had gotten to like the woman quite well before she SD. She was probably the only Uchiha aside from Itachi who went to her funeral that could make it, since the others could out of work-related business that needed to be brought to the clan's attention. Then remove yourself with an S-ranked mission and leave Konoha or a while so I can have someone else take your place. Perhaps, yes, I think your best friend Uchiha Shisui can take over since he is pretty scared ninja and could convince the Hokage that he is a prime candidate to be the bodyguard for the demon brat, said Fugaku, smirking sinisterly at the thought of the man, accidentally, King Naruto, thinking it was another intruder sneaking in at night. You just can't expect me to just give up my position as the boy's bodyguard and take on a mission just so you can end the life of an innocent child. Who, I might add, never asked to be the vessel of a demon, said Itachi, knowing the Hokage would not stand for this and he would make sure that even if it did come to pass he would bring down his father one way or another. Can't I? You will do as I say, or one day that girl you are always with at that rundown ramen stand will find herself in an unpleasant situation that could prove to be fatal, said Fugaku, making Itachi's eyes widen while Mikoto just gasped and covered her mouth, wondering how she could ever love this man. You wouldn't dare, said Itachi coldly, as his hands had long been turned into fists and were bleeding within his gloved hands from his nails being dug in so deep into his skin. I'm the head of the Uchiha clan, Itachi, and until I and your mother my word in the Uchiha clan is law. So you will do as I say, or that army girl will find herself not only without a home, but without her father too, before I end her life, said Fugaku before he pointed towards the door for Itachi to leave to finalize his decision. Itachi was desperately restraining himself as he left before slamming the sliding door shut behind him, while Mikoto looked at her husband in disbelief at what she heard him say. I can't believe you would have him do this to the Uzumaki kid, Fugaku. Naruto is Sasuke's age, for gods, and our son doesn't have many friends outside the clan as it is. How can you deprive both our sons of happiness? Said Mikoto, looking at her husband, who returned her look of disapproval with an angry scowl on his face. Happiness is not a luxury I want my sons to have because it's a weakness. Happiness is a weakness that makes one soft and fragile like it has made the Sandaime in his old age. None of my sons will embrace happiness as long as I rule as clan head, and I intend to rule over the Uchiha clan for a long time. Now go and summon Shisui so I can discuss some important things with him, said Fugaku, waving his wife away, not caring she had tears in her eyes. If that boy were to ever release that demon, I would see to it that Fugaku is the first to be offered to the great beast, thought Mikoto to find Shisui, but not before finding Itachi to talk to him about her own things involving clan business. Flashback ends. So your bastard of a father wanted Naruto's huh? That would explain why he was in hell when I saw him there, said Piccolo, smirking, remembering how he and the others of that clan were being TD in the hell he resided in. I still can't believe you like Ayami and she likes you back. Though she never mentioned you to me in passing when I heard if there was a guy she liked when I asked. I guess she felt it best not to tell me since the whole Uchiha and she couldn't really say or mention she liked you because then she would be harassed, like I always was, said a now depressed sounding Naruto. My mother never saw you as a monster, Naruto. In fact, as I explained before, she met with your mother on more than one occasion and was possibly one of the very elite few who knew she was your mother, though the last name you had kind of gave it away. But I think most people thought it was Sarutobi giving you her last name on a passing whim. It's ironic, huh? Said Itachi, letting out a small laugh. How did you and Ayami meet? Said Naruto, wondering how those two could possibly like each other. Well, that's another interesting story. I think it happened when you were about 3 years old if I remember correctly, and I was being recognized for my strength as Kohona's great Uchiha prodigy. Makes me want to puke, said Itachi, remembering how he had met the girl on his way to get a good week's amount of pocky. Flashback 9 years ago. Itachi was a scared young ninja prodigy that far surpassed all genin, most chunin, and to a certain extent even some junin with his talents. The young boy was said to have no weakness whatsoever, and was said that one day he could very well be the next Hokage of Kohono that was just as scared as the fourth Hokage was given the proper training and the necessary teachings. However, at the moment the boy was heading towards a store that had his only true weakness, pocky. Itachi loved pocky and would always spend a good sum of his mission earnings to buy some, all the while making a few within his clan jokes saying that pocky is what gave him his prodigal strength. Now, while that was not true, the way he ate it, bought it, and was near to the point of obsession, it could always make one wonder if there was more truth to it than that of fiction. As he headed towards the store, he saw another one next to it that he had never paid any serious attention until he saw her. She was sitting on a stool in front the counter wearing an assistant chef's uniform with a pout on her face while the head chef was laughing at her pouting face. Now dear, what have I told you about pouting? It's not good for your face, and besides you'll make your own ramen one day without almost burning down the shop. You just need to be more patient, Ayami, said the older looking man from what Itachi determined was her father. I know Dad, it's just that I find it's hard to believe that making the stuff is so difficult and that there are so many types of ramen, said Ayami, removing some of the pout from her face. Hello, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation, said Itachi, sitting down next to her, making the girl blush when she saw him, seeing as how she had seen him around on some occasions heading into a pocky store. Why yes, my name is Ayami. Your Uchiha Itachi, said Ayami, still not believing someone from a highly distinguished clan was talking to a girl like her. I see my name is already becoming infamous if someone as pretty as you knows who I am, said Itachi, making the girl blush a new shade of red that would put his Sharingan to shame. Thank you, Itachi-kun. I mean Itachi-san, said Ayami, bowing her head to hide her increasing blush and the shame of using the first suffix to his name. It's all right if you use Itachi-kun with me. Just don't tell any of the fangirls or they will try to stop you from being around me. I don't suppose you could make me some ramen if I asked for some, would you? Said Itachi, making the girl look at him again with hope that maybe she could make one good batch of ramen just for him. I could try, said Ayami, trying not to stutter in front of him, but the fact he was that close to her made her want to faint even more. Just try your very best, said Itachi, finding he could always buy pocky later and it would be good to have friend outside of the clan, who just so happened to be a girl. Flashback ends. After that we were nearly inseparable when we were together. I even suggested that she make a pocky flavored type ramen, which after a few experimentations she got perfectly. She would make it only for me on special nights for celebrating a successful mission that went well. In addition, I always left a very good chunk of my mission payment for her and her old man when I was secretly eating there. I think aside from you I was their #1 customer, though I think you would have been regardless if I had stayed or not, said a now smiling and slightly laughing Itachi, knowing that Ayami could back up his claims along with her father. Well, I suppose that explains some of the things that have happened, considering that your father was being a royal pain in the ass with you and Ayami. But what about your mother? Why was she slain in the when she was on your side the whole time? Said Naruto, wondering how she could have been slain by Itachi if the man knew she was on his side. Oh yeah. Well, it went down like this, said Itachi as he began to explain what happened the day that led to the of almost all of the Uchiha clan. Flashback 4 years ago, 1 week before the Uchiha Itachi had spoken to the Hokage 2 days after his talk with his father, and now nearly a week since that talk with the elderly ruler of Kohono. The Sandaime was not pleased by this news and told him that he should make it top priority to watch over the boy, even more so since he had been, officially, taken off duty in protecting Naruto. Today was the first day of many. His best friend was to watch over Naruto into the night, but knowing just how his father thinks, he will want Naruto killed right away. Itachi knew that even if the Hokage could prove foul play, even with Itachi's testimony, the council would still not punish his father or the assassin that was of the same clan. If anything, the council would reward the two, saying they did all of Konoha a great service and given the both of them some grand public reward to celebrate Naruto's death. When Itachi went to Naruto's apartment, he saw his best friend Uchiha Shisui on the roof of the apartment complex, pretending from the looks of Itachi to be on guard duty. But the Uchiha prodigy knew better and could always tell when the man was pretending or taking things seriously in his work. Right now it was the former of the two. Itachi snuck inside the apartment complex, keeping his chakra signature as low as his body possible could allow him to do. When he reached Naruto's apartment, he noticed it was unlocked, which made Itachi all the more suspicious, as the boy had been told by the Hokage to always keep his door locked at night to prevent intruders from entering. No doubt someone is obviously coming here tonight or is inside already with the boy. I better go in to check on him to be sure, thought Itachi, opening the door slowly and stealthily entering Naruto's decaying apartment. When he looked inside, Itachi noticed it was a place even rats and insects would go to, unless it was a last resort for them if they needed shelter. From what he remembered from watching over the boy, the place had been decaying slightly, but nothing like this. It now looked like it had been trashed earlier in the day, maybe 3 or 4 hours ago. Hearing a noise, he entered the boy's bedroom, hoping the boy was still asleep and not being cared at the moment. Looking in, he saw 2 people looking around the room, destroying things as they did, not caring what it was or how much value it may hold to Naruto. Damn that demon. I can't believe that the Sandaime let him live because he, supposedly, is human and doesn't know anything about his past. What a load of crap, said one of the two, clearly being a ninja while the other was a civilian, who was holding a long blunt instrument. Doesn't remember, ha. What a joke. When I see him, I'll make that demon remember when I shove this bat's wide end up his ass until it bleeds to death, said the second, who was the civilian. Naruto's not here. Wait a minute, if he's not here, then where exactly is he? Thought Itachi, trying to look for the boy's chakra signature to see if it was in the building. Deciding it had to wait, Itachi decided to report what he found to the Hokage, but before he could, the lights were turned on, and when he turned around, he saw none other than Shisui looking at him with a scowl on his face, as did the other two, though the civilian was more nervous considering he only had his weapon and that was it. I thought your father took you off protecting the demon brat, Itachi, said Shisui, looking at the younger Uchiha carefully while the other two did the same. At least I did a good job guarding him and his home, considering you were on guard duty and yet you let these SC bags enter his home to destroy everything. Hell, you did not even know that he's not here, said Itachi, looking from his best friend to the others, trying not to activate his Sharingan just yet, knowing it would not be right. So what? I can wait, and so can the others. In fact, I think Mark here has a gift for the demon when he gets back from wherever he may have gone. When he returns, Mark will be more than happy to give the QB exactly what he deserves in terms of human house presence, said Uchiha Shisui, smirking along with the other two, with Mark tapping the end part of his bat with his left palm. Shisui, this is madness. Don't you see, by doing this we are going against the 4th Hokage's wishes. If you do this, you are defiling the 4th's legacy of greatness, said Itachi, hoping his best friend would see past the madness. I know. The boy must be seen as a hero, and all that crap. The boy will be seen as a hero, once he's S. Don't you see, when the boy SS, so will the QB, and with the QBS only then can the boy be embraced as a hero. Besides, even if the kid was not a demon, it wouldn't matter regardless. The council would have taken steps to impede his growth as a ninja and would have made it so he could never go any higher than a genin anyway, said Shisui, feeling that Itachi was not going to let Fugaku's plans come to fruition, and thus pulled out a kunai. You have no idea just how wrong you are. That boy will preserve Konoha and bring it into a new age of prosperity that will outshine even the 4th Hokage one day. It is that one firm belief among others that I will stop you, both here and now, said Itachi as he moved quickly and dispatched the two behind him before confronting his best friend in that battle. Flashback ends. Realizing that I had no choice but to dispose of Shisui the best I could. I pleaded with him during our fight not do this, and that he could still redeem himself and we could prevent disaster. He said that pawns could never become players. It was then that I realized I had no choice. I knocked him out with my static palm jutsu to his heart that would stun him for over 24 hours. I took the 2's boss and his and threw them into the deeper part of the river. By the time I was finished, the two boss were too far gone to be found, and Shisui was later found in the river from an apparent S. It was only after I threw them into the river that the shock at what I had done kicked in and I obtained the Mangekyo Sharingan, said Itachi, finding that he had to K his best friend had made him feel like crap. I think I remember that day. I went out for a late-night ramen dinner and wanted to stay longer than usual since I wanted to ask Ayami why she was worried about something, but she wouldn't tell me about, said Naruto, realizing that Ayami obviously knew what Itachi was doing and she was worried he might somehow fail. I take it that your father was not happy about losing one of his more prized clansmen and he suspected foul play on your part, that of another demon sympathizer, or even Naruto himself, said Jiraiya to Itachi, having met He-Man before she left and how he had his own way at being paranoid. Yes. In fact, the first thing he did was try to blame Naruto, saying the demon boy Ked won his Uchiha brethren and should be Ked. Had the third brought doubt to my father's accusations, though it may have come true, and you, Naruto, would most likely be executed by now, said Itachi, knowing this was more fact than anything else. When his father came home to the mansion the next night, furious at the third Hokage that Naruto had not been Ked or been given a death warrant simply because the boy's alibi had him, supposedly, at the ramen stand eating, what a surprise, ramen. What happened the night of the M? Said Naruto, wanting to know further on the hidden truth of the situation Itachi was placed in. Sighs, to be honest, Naruto, I never wanted to do what I did, but what I did was for the good of Konoha. Still, it had to be done, said Itachi, as he began retelling what had happened at his home with his entire clan being there. Flashback 4 years ago, Uchiha Mansion, night of the Uchiha M. Itachi had head home after a long and gruesome mission that was required of him in hopes to stem the rising wave of tension between him, his father, and the rest of the Uchiha clan. Man, I am beat. It's a good thing I took a soldier pill earlier before I went past the guards and spoke to the Sandaime about my mission. Though from what he told me my father is still pretty pissed off at me, thought Itachi before entering the mansion, finding it was quieter than usual and didn't like it. As he walked, he saw the door to where his father normally spoke with him about clan business was slightly open. Curiosity getting the better of the young Uchiha, he carefully walked over to the door and saw his mother looking at his father with hatred in her eye, with her own Sharingan eyes blazing. How could you do this? Do you have any idea how much that boy means to the third? Said Mikoto while she looked at her so-called husband, while all the other Uchiha in the clan except for Sasuke were in the room. The third is weak and everyone here in Konoha knows it. How long do you think it will be before a new Hokage takes his place? Danzo-san is the most likely candidate now, with Jiraiya-sama gone along with Tsunade-sama with her assistant Shizune. He wants the boy and I aim to see it happen, to show my allegiance to him and the others when we take our rightful places as gods. All that is left is for Orochimaru to finish his immortality jutsu, and we, the governing council members and elders of Konoha, will live forever. We will be the kings of kings, who have waited long and hard for this moment to happen, and I will not let this damned demon boy, who just happens to be the fourth son, stand in our way, said Fugaku. His facial expression clearly showed he and those around him, aside from a now frightened Mikoto, were all the same. WTF. Did I hear him right? Did father say he was aligned not only with Danzo, but with that damn traitor Orochimaru? I don't see Sasuke in their meaning or anywhere here at the moment, meaning he's out right now. I have no choice. I have only one shot at this, but if I succeed then mother can take over as the new clan head and I can report my findings to the third, thought Itachi before entering slowly, not to alert his so-called Uchiha brethren of his presence. Fugaku, you're insane. That snake will never give you or any of the council what they desire. It's wrong to try and become a god. In the end, all you will become is a demon yourself, and I will never love a demon such as you, said Mikoto, nearly bringing her voice to screaming level. Itachi saw his father's sick look turn even sicker, with a scowl on his face appeared, and out of nowhere his father had taken his clan head sword from his robes and espered Mikoto through the chest before Itachi could even move. You animal. You all want to be a god. Tell you what, I'll do something almost as good. I'll let you meet him. Right before you all go to hell, yelled Itachi, moving with a rage and anger he never thought he could possess, taking his own sword, with his own skills, and with his Mangekyo Sharingan fully activated he cut them down one by one, if not in groups, until he reached his so-called father Uchiha Fugaku. To think I praised you, Itachi, for being a prodigy. You of all people would appreciate this, seeing as how you've always wanted to be strong. If you help me, I'll not only help you cover up this incident of clan genocide, but I'll let you bring your little ramen wench into the clan to join in the plan to live forever. What do you say? Said Fugaku, looking at his older son, focused on the response, with Itachi being so angry that neither Uchiha knew that at that very moment one Uchiha Sasuke was coming home. May the hounds of hell eat your rotting soul, said Itachi, knocking the sword out of his father's hands before plunging his into Fugaku's heart before turning it sharply with a wicked twist, making a loud snap sound, meaning the man was regardless of what happened next. It was in that moment that Sasuke entered the room, seeing everyone and his brother along with his father looking at him in shock. Itachi didn't have time to react fast enough, with his father activating his own Mangekyo Sharingan eyes for the first and last time, calling forth the genjutsu of Tsukuyomi on Sasuke. Even if it would not be as potent as Itachi's, considering his condition, it would achieve the end result in Fugaku's mind in making the boy believe what he would later think, Itachi said, was true. Never to realize that while this was happening to him, the real Itachi had left before the Anbu could arrive, taking nearly all the scrolls on the Mangekyo with him. I'm sorry, brother, but I will find a way to bring justice to this grow place of the wicked and that of sinners, thought Itachi, leaving Konoha behind. That would eventually result in him meeting up with Kisame and later joining Akatsuki to protect himself as long as possible. Flashback ends. Damn, said Naruto, taking the words right out of nearly everyone's mouth. Unfortunately, since Sasuke never unlocked his bloodline, he fell to the effects of the Mangekyo Sharingan of our father. While it was not strong enough to influence Sasuke right away like mine would have had I used it, my father's S1 slowly ate at my brother's mind, thus far slowly making him into a being of darkness, with that cursed seal Orochimaru gave him, speeding up the process. Later, after the and the heat SD down enough, I secretly contacted the third and told him what really happened. Knowing he just couldn't outright accuse them of what happened, considering his only witness was a clan destroyer, he contacted Jiraiya-sama to help get information on the Akatsuki while I was there with Kisame. Since then, before now, Sarutobi had been battling, I'm sorry to say, a losing fight with the council as they try to reshape Konoha to their liking, said Itachi, feeling and looking tired for the first time in a long time. The council. That's it. That must be how Orochimaru knew when to intercept Slade and cast the genjutsu on him to go crazy. The council had seen Slade before and no doubt set the plan up to weaken the power of the Hokage through Slade. With Dad at the time, with Slade sealed in his newborn son, and finally Mom being from giving me life, they had no real opposition except for the third. Even then he was not officially out of retirement, so he had no real say in the politics of Konoha, and when he did, by that time his position was weakened in regards to keeping me alive because of Slade being inside of me, said Naruto, making everyone around him smack their heads, realizing that what Naruto said was true. Well, I'll be a monkey's bare-ass uncle. Now all I have to do is explain all this to Sensei now and the other Junin, said Jiraiya, piecing it all together, wondering how the hell did they let it get this far. Elsewhere, 3 generations of the Sarutobi line sneezed loudly in Konoha's hospital, making a nearby nurse glare at them before telling them to be quiet. As I told Hiashi when he came in here some time ago, I can't be in this position anymore. It's not the same when I took office. That's why I need you sooner to take over and give this place a much needed woman's touch, to bring new life into this now diseased and corrupted place, said Arashi, removing his Hokage robes and hat before handing them to Tsunade. Thanks, Arashi. I think for the first time in a long time I'm actually glad to be here given the circumstance of the situation. With Shizune here to help and around the hospital, I know I can continue what you started until your son is old enough to take my place, said Tsunade before putting them in the chair, knowing she had some things at the hospital to take care of before she could take the TLE. Let's just hope history doesn't repeat itself again and has old, flat chest, here comes out of retirement should US like Sensei did, said Jiraiya, earning him a punch through the wall and through 3 more. You're paying for all of that and with interest, you pervert, said Tsunade, making Arashi and Naruto laugh at their antics while Piccolo just shook his head. Maybe agreeing to this was a bad idea, thought the Namek, as the blonde-haired woman reminded him so much of Chi-Chi when she was angry at Goku. Alright, I got to get back to the others before they get suspicious. See you later, Naruto, and remember to go easy on Kisame should you fight him again. He's with me, so there is no need to nearly CSPLE his fish-headed butt, said Itachi, smiling, making Naruto go bug-eyed at the spy for Konoha before he disappeared almost instantly. Are we sure he's an Uchiha? I mean, he seems nice compared to Sasuke, said Naruto before he turned to walk out the door before his now laughing father, who stopped to ask him a question. Not all Uchiha was serious, twisted, and messed up in the head, Naruto. Oh, by the way, I thought I should tell you that Hiei, Jin, Kurama, and Tuya had to head back to Demon World for a while. They had to take care of some business that came up there, so they won't be back for a while, but told you to continue to train hard until they come back, said Arashi, knowing that group would return in a few weeks. Oh, all right. I suppose Hiei-sensei wants to see his twin sister too if she's all right. Plus I hear he's with this very power demon that starts with an M, but I can't really pronounce it. I'll have to tell Slade that when he returns to my seal, said Naruto while leaving the Hokage Tower. I was wondering where Slade was. If he was in you, I'm sure he would have at least made an appearance during the story to add his 2 notes in, said Arashi, knowing it was not like the Demon Lord to miss out on anything, though Naruto would most likely tell him later. I think he and Kurenai-sensei are getting more acquainted, I believe is the appropriate word to use with them, said Naruto, making his father blush while trying to keep such thoughts at bay in front of his son. In the bedroom of one Yuhi, Kurenai, two intertwined being making love, sneezed at the same time before continuing their pace to another level. Oh well, then it's in our best interest not to disturb the two of them. In any case, Naruto, while you were gone for nearly over a week, the girls in your little harem had their little meeting. From what Kurenai tells me, I have good news and bad news to tell you, said Arashi, looking at his son with a good poker face. What's the good news? Said Naruto, curiously, wondering himself how the meeting went with all of them, and was slightly amazed that none of them had been ked by one of the others. Well, the good news is they all came to an agreement not to fight, CSPLE, and out off or K over you, since they will all get a chance to be with you. It took all of them about 3 days to reach that particular agreement, but it worked out in the end, considering what would happen should they ignore the consequences or the punishment of doing such a thing, said Arashi, laughing slightly while Naruto continued to blush, a small tint of red on his face now fully seeable by his father, as he continued to tell him almost everything about what they all agreed upon at this meeting. What about the bad news? Said Naruto after letting this sink all in his head and realized that they were now at the Kazama estate before heading inside, unaware of just WHO was inside. Well, you see, after much talk over the remaining days you were gone, they all agreed to move into the estate to be closer to you, said Arashi just after Naruto opened the door, only to be clomped onto by an unseen force that normally would have been avoided had his father not said the last 9 little words in that sentence. Naruto-kun, said a voice that Naruto soon recognized belonged to none other than one Inuzuka Hana, who was kissing and slobbering all over him with her tongue like a dog. Unknown to Hana or Naruto at the moment, as he was still in shock, the Inuzuka's voice had echoed through the house, had caused a chain reaction that was quite similar to that of a stampede. Every single girl in the harem had rushed from wherever they were to meet their shared one true love. However, when they saw a stunned Naruto being licked all over his face and his upper body being groped by Hana, they went from happiness to full-blown anger faster than Tsunade could scream, "Pervert," at Jiraiya in the hot springs doing research. Get off of my Naruto-kun. They all yelled in unison before looking at each other, attacking one another with the lightning glare jutsu again. The yell of course snapped Naruto out of his trance, while it made realize she had been the puppy caught stealing steak from the fridge. Still, she wasn't ready to let go just yet, as it was her possessive dog-like instincts for a mate that made her want to stay near him even more. I thought you resolved this while I was away, said Naruto, looking at the group and Hana while she snuggled against him on the ground. We did, but we never really agreed on who should give you affection first. Seeing how I'm the oldest of the group, I felt I should do it, said Hana, as she went from snuggling into his en, to kissing, and even licking it, making Naruto shiver with pleasure. An act that did not go unnoticed by the others, and one that they stored in their "how to make Naruto happy" mind file for future use. Liar, they yelled, making Piccolo and Arashi cover their ears, wondering if this yelling was a blessing or a curse. Probably both, though it really depends on what mood they are in when they're yelling, thought Arashi, remembering just how his wife was like that with her moods from time to time. Now Hana, it's not that I don't mind the affection you're giving me, but in all honesty I would rather not receive it while on the hardwood floor, said Naruto, earning him a small pout. Then she gave off a mock whine, and finally after that she got off of him. Oh well, I can always pick up where I left off later, said Hana, letting out a giggle of perverseness, making the other females in the group sent her a death glare. Just remember to keep to your own rooms at night until Naruto reaches the age of 16, seeing as I don't want grandchildren too early. After that he's fair game to all of you, said Arashi, making them whine at first, but then they realized it was only 3 some more years, so it wasn't that long, so they all cheered before they realized the implication at the very of his words before blushing a deep red of embarrassment. Meanwhile Naruto's face had turned half paled white and half blushing red, knowing he better cherish what happened during those 3 some years. Those would be the final days of his innocence if the girls had any say in the matter. Inuzuka clan household clan library several hours later. Kiba was beyond pissed off. First, he had lost his chance at making Chunin, second he had lost his chance with Hinata to Naruto, and lastly his own sister had somehow become a part of the last's little harem. She even went as far as to move in with him. I have half a mind to just go over there and out his tea, thought Kiba, wanting nothing more than to K the bastard for taking his sister away and the mate that he deserved. Still upset about that Naruto brat beating you at being Chunin after the exams, said Inuzuka Chun with her own scowl on her face, as she herself could not believe her daughter fell in love with the demon boy. Of course mom, wouldn't you? I mean, the guy shows up the day of graduation like he was with us the entire time. Then he sweeps my mate off her feet, beats me in advancing in rank, and then he steals our sister away from the family. How is he doing this? Said Kiba, not realizing that Akamaru was in the room under the table listening, or rather he was spying on him at Hana's request. Do you want to know? Said Chum, looking at her youngest curiously, knowing she had kept this from Kiba because of his habit of speaking what he heard shortly after. Know what? Said Kiba, who was so into his thoughts at the time that he had just barely heard his own mother. Know how it's doing what it's doing, said Chum, closing the curtains on the window and shutting the door next to her so no one would know what she was about to say. It, said Kiba, frowning at his mother, wondering why she would call Naruto it, like he wasn't even a human being. Above average, yes, but not human. No way. Or so he thought. What I'm about to tell you can never be spoken outside this house, Kiba, to anyone, or else both you and me are in serious trouble, seeing how the Sandime's law is still in effect for the younger generation. Hana already knows this in hopes it would protect her, but apparently its powers have clearly prevented her from thinking clearly, making her fall in love with the beast, said Chum, as she recalled her daughter asking all of the Inuzuka clan elders, including Chum herself, to let her marry the demon. Naturally they told her no and left it at that, but what they forgot was Hana was old enough to leave the clan house. To make things worse was she had the 4th Hokage's permission to peruse his so-called son, Naruto, whether they gave the blessing or not. They couldn't object to her leaving either under their own clan, as it stated once you were over 16 you had a choice of leaving and living on your own to prove you were a strong member of the clan. It was an old, rite of passage, deal that they had meant to change and revamp over a decade ago, but never got around to it after the QB attacked, since there was a lot of work to be done involving the reconstruction of what was destroyed. The 3rd Hokage wasn't the only one buried with paperwork at the time. Beast. Mom, I don't understand, why are you calling Naruto it? Why are you calling him a beast? Said Kiba, finding this was becoming all the more confusing. You know about the QB no Kitsune, right? How the demon was killed by the 4th Hokage a little over 12 years ago, going on 13 in a few more months. Said Chum, as she looked at her son while she mocked the word, ked, like it was a sick joke. Yeah, everyone knows that. What does this have to do with Naruto? Said Kiba, though he had a sinking suspicion of where it was going. Kiba, the QB was never ked, Kiba. It was sealed inside of the boy you know as Naruto and is in truth the demon himself in human form, said Chum, wondering how her child would react to her words and hoped he would listen for once. What? Naruto is a demon. I mean, I know he's strong and all, but a demon. Our clan lost a few members, both human and dog, during the fighting, but I guess that would explain Naruto's power, said Kiba, finding himself at a crossroad in his head. On the one hand, he was Naruto's friend despite his anger towards his fellow ninja. On the other hand, he was a demon that had hurt his clan, several other clans, and innocent villages that lost friends or loved ones in the battle. Can I really hate him after all that's happened? If he were a demon, then Hana would have never fallen for him in the first place. But what if he used some form of demon genjutsu to place her under his control? Thought Kiba, finding no answer in sight. Exactly. Some of the council members have been talking and we feel that its time in this world is running out. The question is, which side will you choose when it happens? Your own clan and the others who wish the demon S, or all of those demon lovers, who think the two are separate beings, said Chum, looking at her son carefully, hoping he would choose what she believed was the right side. I'll get back to you on it, Mom. This is a lot to take in all at once, said Kiba, wondering if what his mother had just said was true, or was she still grieving from losing Dad in the battle with the demon fox. Fair enough, but I expect your answer eventually, Kiba, said Chum, leaving the room, hoping her son would make the correct choice. Her choice, to be more exact. Kiba, now sitting in a chair for several minutes after the talk he just had with his mom, failed to notice Akamaru quietly leaving the room to tell Hana what he knew. Looks like I get to be part of Naruto-sama's family sooner than later. I wonder if he can introduce me to a female fox my age, thought Akamaru, hoping that could be done for him out of consideration and loyalty towards the boy. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.